I was interested to learn that until last year, till very recently, McMinn County also thought this was possible on an 8th grade reading level. And I'm distressed to find that that's changed.
McMinn County School Board members voted to remove the graphic novel Mouse from its 8th grade curriculum, and there's been an abundance of controversy since. The meeting's minutes show board member Tony Allman saying, quote, "We don't need to enable or somewhat promote this stuff. It shows people hanging. It shows them killing kids. Why does the educational system promote this kind of stuff? It is not wise or healthy." Mouse's author Art Spiegelman says his intention wasn't to make it overly graphic.
But the way I did this was not to make it as lurid as possible, but to make what actually happened as clear as possible.
The book tells the story of Spiegelman's parents, who lived through the Auschwitz concentration camp. One issue the school board had with the book was the depiction of his mother's suicide. The book shows this with a drawing of a woman lying dead in a tub without clothes. School board members took issue with the nudity, saying it wasn't age appropriate, but Spiegelman says the board's characterization of her suicide is offensive.
I found the description of my dead mother's body in a bathtub where she had slashed her wrists, described as a nude woman, deeply troubling.
In a statement, board member Mike Cochran says, quote, "Our system has been teaching the Holocaust for over 70 years, and at no time has it been necessary to include unrelated nudity, vulgar and offensive language, or sexually explicit material, and I refuse to believe that we cannot thoroughly teach this subject without the inclusion of this type of material." While thousands have expressed support for the story of Mouse, others stand by McMinn County's decision to remove the book. One Facebook user commented to McMinn County Schools saying, quote, "Thank you for always thinking about the best for the students regardless of the scrutiny that this has brought upon you."
On the arguments for and against the McMinn County Schools' removal of Mouse from their curriculum. But today we dug into the school board's actual policy to see if it was followed.
There is a procedure that is meant to be followed when you are reconsidering instructional materials, and unfortunately that protocol was not followed.
A complaint brought forward by librarian Alex Sharp and other concerned McMinn County neighbors.
With our elected offices in particular, we have to hold them accountable.
This school board policy says if a complaint is made, a review committee should read the contested material in its entirety, complete a checklist for reconsideration, and present a recommendation for action.
That is a large step in the policy to ensure that materials that are being challenged are being evaluated and not just, 10 people deciding for an entire county whether or not something should be banned.
But school board member Mike Cochran told us he didn't think they broke any policy. That's because he says the complaint came forward from the school board itself rather than an outside source like a parent. Cochran says, quote, "From my reading of the procedure, it was written to regulate objections from outside the school system." But librarian Alex Sharp says she disagrees.
Anytime instructional materials are being reconsidered, whether it is from an outside source or from internally, I think there still has to be a process that's followed.
And minutes from the school board meeting back in January suggest school district attorney Scott Bennett tried to pump the brakes on what ended up being a unanimous vote. Bennett said during the meeting, quote, "Right now you are trying to make a decision without the benefit of the review committee having gone through to look at this."
So that's their own legal defense, correct?
That's Scott Bennett, the school board attorney.
I think they probably should have followed his advice. If they start ignoring parts of their own policy, what is the next thing they ignore? So we have to hold them accountable.
Hamilton County school librarians have a system for choosing what goes on the shelves, but admit that sometimes things fall through the cracks. Now the issue is agreeing on what is considered inappropriate.
We were made aware of some books that were in some of our libraries that had some inappropriate language and some other inappropriate material in it.
The Hamilton County School Board put together a special committee to review the policies for what books are allowed in school libraries.
If you want your children to be exposed to this literature, go buy the books. Go rent the books from the public library. But don't lay it on the shelf for a third grader to accidentally pick up one of these books and go to seeing sexual activity.
Right now, librarians use provided resources to review ratings of reading material to determine what they think is suitable for students. If a parent has an issue with any content in the books, they can fill out a form to request a review of the book. Thurman says she doesn't want parents to have to be the ones vetting the books and wants to have them reviewed before they go in libraries.
We need to look at our policies and make recommendations to the board for how to change the policies so that our policy reflects the standards of the public in Hamilton County.
Taylor Lyons, the co-founder of Chattanooga Moms for Social Justice, says that not all parents have the same definition of those standards.
It's their prerogative as parents to say what's okay for their kids. It's just not their right to say what's okay for my kids to read. And kids across the county.
There are still disagreements about how to determine what is inappropriate and making sure the policies stay within the bounds of the law.
As Angela said, a wide variety of views and viewpoints and things that we find acceptable or unacceptable for our children.
And if we start to pick how many cuss words are allowed.
That's why we have to have a community norm. There has to be it can't be up here, it can't be down here. It has to be somewhere
the children
in
have
here.
First Amendment rights.
Chairperson Rhonda Thurman asked the committee members to review the current policies and come to the next meeting with any concerns or thoughts on how the policies could be improved.